We're very privileged, especially to hear you, because as far as I know, for our education program, the educational technology segment and aspects related to instructional design, all that Professor Balachandran handles. So, hearty welcome over to Professor Balachandran.
Thank you. It's really a privilege to come and address in front of this august audience. In fact, many of the people may have a better experience than us. And this particular focus is how to develop a e-content. What are the places where we can look for the resources? And what are the ways in which we can improvise our e-content development? Unlike our regular classroom teaching or a curriculum planning, it is an effect, what we call as a transient effect. We go, deliver, and come back. Whatever we have delivered, we don't have a record of that. If at all, if there is any record, it is in the minds of the receivers. But we don't have any record to show that, okay, I have delivered like this has been appreciated like this, but this has not been appreciated like this. This can be improvised. We don't have any kind of a fallback system. Whereas here, this kind of a e-content development is exactly trying to improvise on that particular one. First of all, first and foremost, we should ensure that this is not a replacement of the conventional or traditional levels of teaching. It's actually an augmenting tool, right? So we can't say that this is going to replace our conventional way of teaching, and no, I think at no point of time, at least in the Indian context, it's going to be replaced. But this is going to be used by many teachers, in fact, all the teachers, to make it as an augmenting tool to support of their subjects or the knowledge to the students in that specific area. There are many places you find that the e-content development, probably now, when we sit across like this, when we start a particular lecture session, immediately we get a feedback. Okay, what is your strength, what is your weakness, what are the levels of our students, whom we are addressing. Based on that, generally what we do is, we focus or we try to modify the way in which we do the content delivery. Right? Suppose the same topic, if I am going to teach to a PU student, my level of teaching, or the way I am going to start my topic is going to be entirely different from the other type of audience where I am addressing to the experienced teachers who have got a fair amount of experience in teaching a particular subject. Right? So this, we normally intuitively we do it the moment we know who is our prospective receivers. Whereas the kind of in terms of the e-content delivery, it is a question mark or a black box to us. We don't know exactly what are the students who are going to view our e-content. But when we normally make a e-content, we have to keep it in mind that whom we are addressing to. In the classroom environment, we try to modify the way of our teaching based on the initial input or the feedback normally we get from the audience. Maybe within the 5 minutes or 10 minutes, probably I'll be asking questions, they'll be asking some questions. We may come to know that, okay, this is the level of the students, this is the level of the recipients. Based on that, we try to modify. Whereas in the case of the e-content, we don't have that kind of features. So that's why many times we may have to make it as a feedback-oriented e-content development. Probably ask them to answer a few questions in the initial portion to know that, okay, are they in tune with what we are going to deliver in the form of the e-content development. Otherwise, you may find that either it will be a very primitive or it may be a highly professional for them. It may not be exactly suits to them. And many times, especially in the e-content delivery nowadays, the people are looking for bringing the topic maybe in 4 to 5 different levels. For example, I take one example, maybe I take an example from the science forum, maybe Boyle's law. Suppose if I have to teach what is meant by a Boyle's law, what we have to talk about the basics about the buoyancy, then about some laws and how this has been arrayed, how Archimedes has interpreted it, how it has been useful in the practical scenario, what are the applications of that one. So this is a topic which I want to cover, but I don't know who is the audience, who is going to be my audience. So that's why probably we have to ask a few questions in the beginning itself, and based on that questions, probably we can take our e-content to a different level. So we'll make our e-content maybe 4 or 5 levels. If I find that that person is capable of answering the say first 5 questions or first 6 questions, we can skip the first level and second level, we can go to the third level. So basically we are looking for a feedback and assessment based e-content development. Another important thing is, when we develop a e-content, it has been observed that whatever the material which we prepare, not more than 10 minutes the people will have a focus on the material. Unlike our classroom teaching where normally we can go on talk for about 45 minutes, I don't know how much, and that 45 minutes how effectively the students or the recipients will receive us. But in the e-content when we are developing without monitoring, you find that the maximum duration they will be receptive is only 10 minutes. So most of the contents what we have to develop is that we should have a time frame of 10 minutes, maximum of 10 minutes. Probably all of you may have had some assignments right now, right? You may have developed a e-content development. What's the actual duration you have planned? 5 minutes, 3 minutes, okay? Less than 5 minutes. Has it been told to you that you have to do it with less than 5 minutes? Yeah. Okay. So actually it's very, very difficult in fact. The moment you give us more time, probably we can dwell on that particular topic and we cover it for a longer period. But it's really a challenge. Somebody says that this topic has to be covered in 1 minute or 2 minutes. Because we have to put all the effective ingredients into that 1 minute. At the same time, it has to be received. Other persons do not feel that everything is going top of the head kind of stuff. So that's why it's become very, very difficult. It's really challenging. But initially, when we look into it, most of the lecture series presented by various universities for the e-content delivery, they have done it for 45 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, 30 hours of total lecture. But then they find that this is not really an effective medium of e-content delivery. So most of the time now we are restricting to 10 minutes to 15 minutes is the maximum duration. Maybe the 10 minutes is actually a lecture session or a video session or a conferencing session, and the remaining 5 minutes could be a hands-on session wherein the students can do some kind of a assessment studies based on what they have learned in that first 10 minutes. So this is what generally the content what we are going to prepare. Now, there are different types of e-content delivery. We'll start with the basic, what we call the asynchronous mode. Asynchronous means we are not in sync with the other recipient. That means I can prepare something and the recipient, they can take it at any time. They need not take it immediately. That's what we call as asynchronous mode. Typical example could be our email kind of a thing. I can write my email and I can post it. The recipient is going to receive that email or respond to that particular email, but maybe at a later stage. So this is one of the typical asynchronous mode of e-content delivery. Another is a mailing list. See, suppose if I am conducting the classes, I prepared the notes and all that. I can make something called as a mailing list. I can post either prior to my class or after my class. I can put that content in the mailing list so that they will be receiving it. Not at the time of my lecture, either earlier or later. Suppose if you feel that it is a prerequisite for them to know that one, we generally put it earlier to it. Suppose if you feel that you have to assess the student of what they have learned by attending my class, probably we'll post it later. The same content, probably in an abridged form, we'll be giving in the mailing list, along with some kind of an assessment or the feedback sessions which we will be intending to assess the students. Third one, we have got a Usenet, right? Many of you may be familiar with the Usenet, and we have got something called as an internet text forum boards, wherein for example, now probably many of you might have heard of a term called cloud computing now, wherein we need not have our resources. I need not have a hard disk. I need not have my content here. Instead of that, I will have maybe on a higher basis. I take a space from somebody else, and I post all my content there. And by pay by use, I will be using that particular content. For For example, I can give that access to my student, but each time they are accessing, they may have to pay something to the particular server for accessing, paid by use. So one of the provisions generally being used is nic.ins or usenets. These are some of the things that they will be providing. And Internet forum text boards, where I create maybe a question or create maybe place some article, ask all the students to comment on that one. And these comments will be a threaded comments. What we mean by threaded comments is whatever the things which I have posted it, whatever the comments that the students are making, it will be available to me one after the other in a sequential form. Whereas the student, they may not be able to see all the comments posted by my peer group or the other students. I will be able to see as a teacher, I will be able to see what are the comments they are making. And the students, they will be making their own comments. Those comments, the peer group comments, they will not be able to see. But I will be able to see in a sequential order all the comments that have been made. This could be used to be given for our assessment purposes also. But of course, it's not exactly meant for assessment purposes. It's to get some kind of a view from the students which has not been biased by the other students. For example, two students, they say that no, your lecture is not good. The third student, they tend to write the same thing in a different form. So we will be getting almost unbiased views, especially in this kind of a internet forum text boards. A lot of text boards are available, online text boards are available, where we can write our comments. And if I feel that at a later stage, these comments also is going to be useful to the students, I can make those comments open to the peer group also. So that students, they will come to know that what are the comments made by the other persons. To give an example, I give a problem to the students, solve it. 4 different students, they have solved it 4 different ways. Now, this I can make it open to the forum so that they know that there are 4 different ways of solving this particular problem after my assessment. So it will become easy for them to understand, and at the same time they can learn it at leisure. So that's basically an asynchronous mode. Asynchronous means it's not in time sequence. Then we have got, similar to the text boards, we have got something called as the image boards, where we can write our own visualization things on the online. It's similar to writing something on the board. Okay. Same way, we have got an image boards, and there are something.
What is the name of the text boards that are available?
Probably I just browse it and just there are plenty of boards are available. Probably we can go to the Google search engines or the Bing search engine and then can find the online boards. Blackboard.com you can go. There are plenty of them available. Even under the Yahoo also you get a lot of image boards. Then we have got a bulletin boards under Shoutbox. Of course, people they name it in a different way. This is the way in which we can post our views. That's all. Right? And these views, whatever we have posted, it will be administered. It means immediately it will not be made known to the others. They will come to know only after some person validate your comments. That's the purpose of it. So somebody writes some indiscriminate kind of a messages. Probably it could be filtered out at any point of time. That's the very purpose of this boards. And this is not a much challenge here. Asynchronous communication, because we deliver it, and after some time only the other person is going to see. Some moderator or some administrator is going to look into your content before it's being delivered to the recipients, prospective recipients. We have got a good control over the system. But what we are going to see next is the synchronous communication. It's very ideal, very effective, at the same time it's more challenging. Asynchronous communication is, for example, a class is happening now. If I commit a mistake now, I can't rectify that mistake now. Right? So whatever the things that's happening at present, it is happening in a synchronous way. The recipient is receiving the same information at the same time what that person who is going to who is delivering it. So you find that in a synchronous communication, you will have a lot of challenges for the content delivery person. As well as for the recipient, it's an ideal situation because this has plus a classroom teaching kind of environment. somebody is delivering the lecture and immediately you are able to see the content and able to interact with the delivery person, and probably you can able to get the feedback or the doubts cleared immediately. Few of the modes that's available are data conferencing modes, then instant messaging modes. Probably all of us will be familiar with that one. We open either in the Gmail or in the Bing or in the Yahoo mail services. We use something called as chat windows. We write something, immediately we get the response from the user, and the thread goes on continues. Then internet relay chat, where this can be communicated to more than two persons. Then LAN messenger. This is especially in organizations where most of the computers have been connected to a local area networking, and way that people can communicate is as good as you are attending a conference or as good as you are attending a common group presentation, where whatever I am typing, whatever I am doing, immediately the others will come to know, and then they will be able to put their comments also. So these are some of the things that have been used in a synchronous mode. Voice chat. Okay, many of the even our mobile phones, they have got these features of voice chat. Web chat, that is using the internet as a base. We are using this web chat. Then all of us are familiar with the video conferencing, which can happen either through the phone or through the internet. Then voice over internet protocol, VoIP. A typical example, voice over internet protocol. Typical example is a Skype kind of a call what we are making. Right? And typical example of maybe the web chat is WhatsApp application that has been used by most of the Android-based phones. You find that you create a group, you post a message, everyone is able to see that message, and they are able to see that, and they are able to respond immediately. All the responses along with your original message, you are able to see in a time sequence. So these are the facilities that are available in a synchronous mode, or it could be even called as asynchronous mode.
WhatsApp would be asynchronous.
WhatsApp can made as a synchronous also. Yeah. There are some features in WhatsApp. Probably what we are using is the base versions. Suppose if you go for paid versions, you can do your voice chat. You can do the in live stream communications. Then web conferencing. So these are, for example, now you are presenting a paper in any of the conferences. Many people nowadays, they allow you to present the paper on a web conferencing mode. So again, it's a live streaming. You get connected to that particular conferencing mode at that particular point of time, and you are able to deliver as good as you are sitting in that particular conferencing mode. So again, these are the synchronous mode. It appears to be a very, very positive thing here compared to the asynchronous mode, but the challenge is also more. Very, very difficult for us to filter the content. Somebody quotes something which is unparliamentary. It's very difficult for you to remove it from the content, right? In fact, many people are struggling nowadays, especially the people who are posting the comments on the Facebooks, Twitters, LinkedIn's. Because somebody writes a comment which is bad, it creates something like a viral, and it's very difficult to control it later on. So people are trying to make even this so-called synchronous kind of a communication to be a guided one, wherein sometimes somebody could be monitored. So as I type something, sometimes we can try to find out, okay, this is not a correct one. So that itself will be filtered out. For example, if I write something as a fool, I say to my messenger that if you find a word called fool, immediately block it. But at the same time, it's a challenge also. Somebody is writing a thing it's a full-hearted message, right? But just because you have written as FUOL, it started, it would have been filtered. So it's actually it's a challenge actually to do it. But something which has been not reached is okay. Something should not reach in a negative sense. That's why some of the filtering techniques are being required now, even in a synchronous mode.